Okay, at this time we need total silence as I call our VFW call to colors. All right. At this time, I'd like to have our band play the national anthem. Please rise. Okay, guys, silence, please. You know. Please remain standing. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. At this time, I'd like your attention to our 8th grade chorus as they perform Armed Forces, Pride of America.
Thank you. United States of United States Marines. United States Navy.
Great job, 8th grade orchestra, band, and chorus. All right. Good. All right, I'm going to get started with our welcoming remarks. We're here today to honor and recognize some extraordinarily important men and women. I, for one, am honored to be speaking with you all about such an important occasion. During my time here at the Rocky Point Middle School, which is now up to 21 years, we've done a lot of great things for our community. We've organized fundraisers to help fight childhood cancer. We've raised money for ALS research, done push-ups to help soldiers dealing with PTSD, sponsored food drives to help communities in need, banded together to support our local families that have experienced horrific hardships, to mention just a few. Today, we are here to honor America's real heroes with our third ever Veterans Day program. Our nation's veterans are comprised of men and women who embody all the qualities we think of when we hear the term hero. Courageous, brave, honorable, fierce, determined, and loyal. As a former social studies teacher, I also think that what makes our servicemen and women so very special is that in addition to the traits I just mentioned, the American soldier, sailor, airman, Marine, and Coast Guardsman is unique in that they represent all walks of life, working class, middle class, and wealthy. As Americans, our veterans are made up of every racial, religious, and ethnic group. And we Americans have had an incredible ability to adapt, understand, and overcome all obstacles. In addition to defending our way of life, the time spent in the military has afforded these proud veterans with career paths such as doctors, nurses, engineers, teachers, mechanics, plumbers, electricians, drivers, and food service professionals. Veterans Day is a day where the average American should go out of their way and thank our heroes. Honor them for their service and their sacrifices that they've made to defend the freedoms that we have here in America. The very freedoms that make us the envy of the world. A few years back, Mr. Messeri met with me to discuss his desire to honor our veterans, as well as show some gratitude to his father, who had spent a great deal of time at the Stony Brook Veterans Home, where he made many friends and was a positive influence to all who knew him. Our program today is a result of Mr. Messeri's hard work. That Mr. Messeri, he's great. We welcome Commander Cognitor and our VFW members, our special guest and Army veteran, Miss Denise Shaughnessy, and Mr. Jim O'Connor. Mr. Jim O'Connor, who's both a veteran and volunteer at the Stony Brook Veterans Home, as well as Miss Scott's dad. I would also like to welcome our district administration, Dr. O'Brien, Ms. Suzanne Crossan, Mr. Chris Van Cott, Ms. Kristen White, Mr. Aaron Factor, and our Board of Education member, Ms. Sullivan, who would take the time out of their busy days to join us. In addition to thanking our veterans, Mr. Messeri was inspired to try and spread the message and the importance of Veterans Day. Veterans Day, here's your little history lesson for the day, was originally celebrated as Armistice Day when it was first created by President Woodrow Wilson on November 11, 1919, 1 year after the end of World War I. The idea behind Armistice Day was to honor the fallen soldiers of World War I for their bravery and sacrifices. After World War II ended, veteran Raymond Weeks proposed Armistice Day should be extended to honor all veterans, and on May 26, 1954, President Eisenhower signed a bill to create Veterans Day into law. So when you're off from school on Friday, hopefully you'll take some time back and reflect on the importance of why we are off that day. Hopefully you learned a little bit of interesting history related to Veterans Day, as well as a barrage of the Veterans Day facts that you've got from Mr. Messeri over the last 10 days on our announcements. As former General Norman Schwarzkopf once said, it doesn't take a hero to order men into battle. It takes a hero to be one of those men who go into battle. Students and staff at the middle school, we have sitting with us right now some of the bravest and honorable Americans to walk the earth. Some of our special guests were in the below freezing mountains of Korea, the jungles of Vietnam, and in the deserts, mountains, and cities of Iraq and Afghanistan. Some may not have had to deploy. However, they were willing and ready to do whatever they were asked to do to defend our way of life. The people that are spoken about in this very quote are sitting right here in our auditorium. Big round of applause. Thank you. To borrow from Winston Churchill, Prime Minister of Great Britain, during World War II, never before was so much owed by so many to so few. These brave soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, and women, Coast Guardsmen and women, cannot be thanked enough for their selfless and courageous decision to protect our way of life. So let's just be sure to thank a veteran because we owe our freedom to them. At this time, I would like to call up two of our essay winners who wrote about the importance of our military veterans. So at this time, I'd like to invite up Toriana Giusti.
My pledge to our veterans is to always honor and respect them. These veterans do so much for our country, and some people don't know that. These veterans have a powerful impact on us. A veteran is a person from a branch that serves in wars and battles for our country, such as the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, and Coast Guard. They put their lives in the line to save us and are away from their families for long periods of time. I am so grateful for these veterans and what they do. They are an inspiration to us. In honor of veterans and Veterans Day in school, every day we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I always think about the sacrifices they have made for me and my family. I always say hello to a veteran when I see them. Every year I write a letter to a veteran because I know it warms their heart giving it to them and seeing how happy they are to know someone is thinking about them. Veterans are one of the important, if not the most important people in this country. Veteran is a very courageous word. The reason for that is these men were courageous when they fought for everyone's freedom. These men and women knew what they were getting into. These veterans do so much. Some may still be in war going into war, and some may lie at rest, but they will always be in my heart, and I will always pray for them. In the future, I plan to go to the veteran cemeteries and place a flag right next to their grave in honor of them. These veterans are so proud of themselves for doing what they do and so grateful for being appreciated. They are always feeling love and never hate. They deserve so much from everyone.
I would now like to invite up Ms. Chloe Poblette.
Yeah. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Today I'm going to read my Veterans Day essay. I hope you all enjoy. Veterans are real-life heroes. They are people who protect their country, serve their people, and sacrifice their life for citizens like you and me. They are the reason for our freedoms and privileges we enjoy every day, and they deserve to be honored and respected. Some ways that I show my respect for their sacrifices in my everyday life is by simply saying thank you for your service, by writing soldiers' cards for Veterans Day, and remembering what they did for us by visiting them in Veterans Day homes. I have spoken to many of them who live there as we played games and made each other laugh. It's hard to know how brave these men and women must have been to willingly go into war with honor, how hard it must have been to leave their families, spouses, sisters, and brothers, friends, houses, and all the comforts of life along with their homeland behind, not knowing what would happen or if they would even return home at all. It is for these reasons that it is important to remember and to celebrate these brave not only on the holiday of Veterans Day, but every day. These honorable people willingly went into war, sacrificing themselves for the country and the people that they love. They also went many long, hard hours, training, preparing, and dreading the battle that they knew they would soon have to face. A personal promise I can make to veterans today is that no matter what, I will respect them, I will honor them, and most importantly, I will never forget about them, because it's the least I can do for them in return. I plan on carrying out this promise by informing friends and family on the importance of not just remembering, but also not taking for granted what we have today because of their sacrifices. Their bravery and sacrifices gave us our freedoms and privileges. We live in the United States of America because of them. We have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness because of them. They should be proud of what they did for this country, because I know that so many people appreciate and are grateful for the way we live today. Others take for granted what we have and cannot understand the importance. That is why people like us have to be around to remember and to tell others. Thank you.
Wow. Incredible job, Toriana and Chloe. Amazing job capturing the essence of why it's important to honor our veterans and servicemen and women. At this time, I'd like to reintroduce our orchestra and band who are going to play Honor and Glory. Well done, well done. Thank you, 8th grade orchestra. At this time, I'd like to take some time to say a few words about a very special community member who has dedicated a tremendous amount of time to the Rocky Point community as well as in support of our veterans. This individual grew up in Farmingdale, New York, where he played football and ran track. He would then attend Dakota Wesleyan University, where he studied to become a teacher until he was drafted into the U.S. Army in 1970. This person would ultimately serve in Vietnam and Cambodia, attaining the rank of platoon sergeant. At that time, President Nixon began the reduction of American forces under a plan known as Peace with Honor. This special individual was awarded the Bronze Star for bravery during his time in Vietnam. He would return back to the United States to become an executive with Coca-Cola, settle down right here in Rocky Point, and raise two sons, Christopher and Joseph, who both attended school here, as well as played soccer, basketball, and baseball. His son Joseph, in fact, is currently a colonel in the United States Army. He volunteered extensively and continues to do so to help the Rocky Point schools fundraise to provide athletics for programs during a time when budget cuts had eliminated them back in the early 90s. He had taken an active role in the Rocky Point Veterans of Foreign Wars post in 1990, just as the Persian Gulf War had begun. His reason was he wanted to make sure American servicemen and women who returned from their service in the Persian Gulf, and later the War on Terror, were welcomed and embraced, essentially so they would not have experienced the lack of support that the returning Vietnam veterans had faced back in the 60s and the 70s. He'd also worked with Rocky Point social studies teacher, Mr. Acrotelli, to help in fundraising efforts to build two memorial monuments to honor the victims and first responders who had perished in the 9/11 terrorist attacks. These monuments are proudly displayed in the Diamond in the Pines Park, where many of you play baseball and soccer and lacrosse. He was also a significant force in establishing the Joseph Dwyer PTSD Memorial, prominently displayed right in Veterans Park on the corner of 25A and Broadway right here in Rocky Point. Clearly not one to take much time off, this individual is currently helping to plan the construction of a military museum to honor achievements of local and national military heroes here in Rocky Point. Commander Joseph Cognatore, please come up to accept this Rocky Point Middle School token of gratitude for all your years of service.
Wow. Good morning. I can hear you. Good morning. Perfect. Thank you. I hope Mr. Moeller's not doing anything for the next week. I like to bring him on my tour with me to the other schools and veteran ceremonies. Thank you so much for that great introduction. And thank you for being here today. It's an honor, pleasure, and I can't say enough. I've been here for that's the third time. I've been to many schools, but I got to say one thing. Patriotism is in the school, the middle school here today, and it's always here. I want to thank you for all your patriotism. I want to thank you for what you do, and it shows by the great work of your chorus, your musicians, your faculty, and your administrators in the school. It's all a one up for everybody. I can't say enough for what you guys are doing here today. It really, really makes me humble. I did have a speech prepared, but I'm not going to say it. I just want to say thank you for what all you do, and I hope to come back here next year. And I want to also say thank you to the art students that did that nice art contest out there, and to the Patriot Pen essays that you did last year and this year. I was taken back because I didn't realize they were going to speak today, but we look like we have a couple of local winners here for our essay contest, which is ongoing until the end of January. These students will be put into our VFW system. They'll be brought to the district, the state, and then hopefully the national. So hope they go a long way. Again, thank you so much, and if you see a veteran, make sure you say thank you to the veteran for their service, men and women in uniform, and God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you.
All right, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls. Again, you've been a fantastic audience. At this time, I'm going to turn your direction to instructor Mr. Vin Ragona, who is going to play the bugle and perform taps out of respect for our lost servicemen and women. Thank you, Mr. Ragona. Outstanding job as always. I have to say many thanks here. This is a massive undertaking to put this program. Even though it's a period long, it's a tremendous amount of planning and organization. I have to thank our 8th grade chorus, 8th grade band, and orchestra teachers under the direction of Ms. Lamia, Mr. Ragona, Ms. Lombardo, Ms. Kenwood, and Mr. Butcher for all their hard work, and the students for all that time practicing. You guys sounded amazing. Big round of applause. I also wanted to thank Ms. Lamia additionally for working with the student government to create our pins that our staff members are wearing today. Ms. LaBianca, Ms. Bonconsiglio for creating and running our Veterans Day poster contest, as well as the patriotic decorations throughout the building and the doorway. Fantastic job. Thank you so much, ladies. And I'd like to thank our social studies department for writing thank you letters to the veterans, the English department for spearheading the Patriot Pen Essay writing contest and essay, Mr. Rackus and our custodial staff, Mr. Scott Warmbrand and our tech staff, and the middle school office staff who've done a tremendous amount of behind-the-scenes work. And obviously, the man who made it all together today, a huge special thank you to Mr. Messeri for taking his vision and putting it into reality. And last of all, one great big thank you to Commander Cognitor and our special guests from the Rocky Point VFW and Stony Brook Vets Home who are viewing our event. We're forever grateful for your service. Thank you so much. All right, at this time, and we need your cooperation, we're going to go back to get your materials. If you left stuff in first period, you'll go back there, but we're going to go